What are you providing on the on your group calls that you don't necessarily provide directly to your followers, like through TikTok?
Yeah. So every week I run a free hypnosis group session on Zoom for people literally all around the world. We have a free community on School, and we do a live hypnosis session. So there's an educational component to it where I teach people some of the latest mindset tricks, how to hack your mind, change beliefs and fears and habits and things like that. And then I do about a 20 to 30 minute hypnotic experience where we take everything we talked about, all the information that I had taught, and solidify that through that hypnotic process. So it's cool. Every week's different. One week we'll work on identity shifting. The next week we'll work specifically on weight loss. The next week we'll work on fear. And it's been amazing. It's really cool. I want to make hypnosis as accessible as possible. So I've been trying to take the like Andrew Huberman approach to information as far as like putting content out there. Is like make as much content as free as possible and make the process as accessible as possible for the masses. And that also has a really cool effect where I get a lot of business from doing so. You know, people are like, oh, this dude provided this much value for free. Like, what more is he going to do for me if I pay him? Mm-hmm. You know, so it's not the end goal. Like, of course we need to make money. I'm not always focused on like, oh, how is this thing going to make me money in the future? But it just works like that, you know? So I've literally hypnotized millions of people at this point with the help of social media, right? And content. But even one-to-one, I've hypnotized hundreds of people. In group settings, thousands of people. And what's cool is like, you know, I've hypnotized everybody from professional athletes to fashion designers, a dude in the cartel, the Mexican cartel, politicians, you name it. I've hypnotized like that, a person in that industry, right? And so there's been a select few people, like a small group of less than like 1,000.
Do you think it's effective in a big group like that? Is it effective when on your group call?
Yeah. So I think it's most effective one-to-one. Hypnosis is certainly the most effective when I can tailor it to the individual. And so you can have a general process that a group can follow. Think about it like working out or hiring a personal trainer. You can follow a YouTube video online that's general information and fitness education, and it will give you a general framework of how to work out and how to eat, right? But the more specific and tailored you can make that to the individual, the more effective it's going to become. So the same for the mind as it is for the body. And so when I have a group, you know, our free group, you know, we have hundreds of people on it, maybe 50 to 70 people show up on a weekly basis. It's still highly effective, but I also have to keep it general enough that I can get the most change for the most people. And so there's certain people that would benefit more from a more tailored, personalized approach. Most people consider me like a personal trainer of the mind, because in the same way that you need to work out your body, you need to work out your mind. And in the same way that you need to work out your body consistently, you have to work out your mind consistently. So most people who want to get bigger, faster, stronger understand that they have to work out consistently, maybe 3 to 5 times a week, let's say. But people don't seem to apply that same understanding to the mind. And really, they should be doing something 3 to 5 times a week from a mental perspective, whether it's meditation, hypnosis, visualization, whatever you want to call it. There needs to be some sort of what I like to reference as an unconscious routine. Actually, I think the single easiest, most impactful practice someone could start doing right now to drastically improve the likelihood that they become successful is to visualize their goals. And now this is super cliche. Every guru, Tony Robbins, Joe Dispenza, and everybody in between talks about visualization and putting yourself in your goals fulfilled. I always say you need to work from your goals, not towards your goals. And so you need to become the type of person who had already achieved the thing that you're trying to achieve. One of the ways you can program your unconscious mind to help you achieve a goal and to be successful on autopilot is by visualizing yourself achieving the goal.
And not only achieving it, but like achieved already. Is that what you're saying? Like visualize yourself in the feeling that you'll have once you've already achieved it.
Yeah. So let's say you want to lose weight, right? Put yourself 6 months in the future. Close your eyes for 5 minutes. Meditate on what your life looks and feels like at your ideal shape, your ideal size, at your ideal weight. What do you look like? Are you looking in the mirror? Does your body look different? Do your clothes feel different? Are people saying, nice things to you? They're complimenting you. Do you feel more confident? Do you stand up straighter? Does your energy change? What are the thoughts, feelings, and actions that are now new because you've already achieved the goal in your mind? As you do that, you're programming your unconscious mind, this like heat-seeking part of you, just like a heat-seeking missile that will help you automatically get to that goal on a day-to-day basis. Have you heard of the red car theory?
I think so. Maybe. What is it?
All right. So let me ask you this. How many red cars did you see yesterday?
I have no clue.
Okay. Let's say I paid you $100 for every red car that you could tell me you saw yesterday. Could you tell me?
Yeah. I mean, if you told me that beforehand, I would definitely be able to.
No, but could you do it now, even though I was going to motivate you with some money?
No, I couldn't.
No. Okay. But what if I told you tomorrow I would pay you $100 for every car that you saw, red car?
Right. Then I could do it for sure.
Absolutely. Would the number of red cars change that you see tomorrow?
No, I'd just be looking for them. I'd be aware.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. So all of a sudden you go out and you notice all the red cars. It doesn't change the number of red cars. All that changed was your awareness of it. And so the same thing happens with opportunity, right? Our goals, things that are aligned with our goals, thoughts, beliefs, people, conversations, all those things, doors opening for us based on our awareness. And it's not that those opportunities aren't already there. They are. It's just where we place our focus.
Okay. And just what is that going to be able to do for me? Like, is it where you're talking about, like, if I place my focus on, can I do that for myself? Like, we were basically talking about the reticular activating system, like break it down, like neurologically, what is happening when I'm actually visualizing my goals and how I feel when I've achieved them.
Yeah. So the reticular activating system is a bunch of neurons in the brain that filters in and out of our awareness, things that we've trained it to focus on. So visualization is a way to program this part of our brain so that in the future, our reticular activating system will then bring to our awareness, like I said, what it is we've trained it through visualization to help us focus on and pursue. And so when you visualize and you do this, not just from a visual perspective internally, but when you see it, feel it, smell it, touch it, and you make it as real as possible in your own mind, the brain is taking that information like you're literally programming a heat-seeking missile. And when you do this with intensity and frequency, meaning you make it as visceral as possible, and you do it with repetition over time, even if you did it 3 to 5 times, you have now programmed your unconscious part of your mind to then activate the thoughts, feelings, and emotions that will automatically help you achieve that goal.
People that you're coaching, they are not only just like young people on TikTok, you're coaching like really high level people. Do you want to talk a little bit about like the business side and how you've been able to monetize like your platform, your audio, your coaching platform, speaking, that kind of thing?
Yeah. So I originally got into hypnosis because I used it myself. My whole thing is that I went from fat, suicidal, and broke to losing almost 100 pounds in 6 months, growing my net worth to over 7 figures by the age of 34, and totally eliminate all my anxiety and just really kind of having a new confidence that I've been able to tap into by using hypnosis. And so originally when I first started, nearly a decade ago coaching people, it was coaching that younger version of myself, the weight loss, the anxiety relief, things like that. And I still do those things to an extent, but now I focus on like high earners, not for the sake of focusing on high earners, but I've realized that when you get to a certain point, peace is more important than profit. And so my new tagline has become, I help entrepreneurs find peace when they've already found profit. And that's a mental, emotional game, right? It's when you've already had the financial success, you've seen the money in your bank account, you've gotten the nice cars, like you realize none of that really fulfills the things that you thought it was. And you still have those voids emotionally from the past, the things that have been said to you, the things that were done to you, the things you've experienced have all affected you in ways that like material things can't solve. And so that's where hypnosis really comes in, is resolving those issues.
What about the emotional toll it has on you? Mm-hmm. Being someone that's basically working through people's trauma with them every single day, does that have an emotional toll on you? Is that a physical exhaustion that comes from depleting yourself to give to others? Like, I'm dead ass serious. I fucking believe that you give to others.
Yeah. So I've had to cut down on the number of clients that I see. I actually only see 5 clients at any given time over usually about a 6-week period. I've done that for a number of reasons. One, I want to be able to give people the highest level of service and attention and flexibility, right? And so I have found that 5 is my sweet spot over, that 6 to 8 week period. But also I was seeing 6 to 8 clients a day, 5 to 6 days a week. And most of the process, the experience is emotional. And I was generally good about either shaking it off when it would occur or, kind of compartmentalizing things and not taking those things on. But like, I am naturally empathetic, which is a protection mechanism most people don't know about, but everybody thinks, I'm just empathetic, but usually it was a way to protect yourself when you were a kid. Maybe that's a story for another time, but
I'd like to hear about it.
All right. So,
or just generally, or about you.
I found with working with people who identify as empaths or they're highly empathetic, it's usually a protection mechanism that was developed in childhood to avoid conflict. And so one of the ways this will often show up is if a child grew up in a turbulent household, let's say where their parents fought, and the child learned to be maybe a pacifier or like I don't want to say referee because it's not always physical, but they were kind of the catalyst to calm things down. One of the ways that empaths will often learn to do this is to predict based on micro expressions, right, and body language when conflict is going to arise before it arises. And so being empathetic is a conflict resolution mechanism, but more predictive than reactive.
More predictive than reactive. Wow. To identify pre-argument based on body language and to be hypersensitive of other people's emotional heightened state. Yep. Wow. That's crazy. Yeah. And what made you discover that?
Well, I discovered that through my own childhood. Like everybody had, parents argued and things like that, but I was always the one who would laugh things off with my parents, and try to get them to calm down. I was always wise beyond my years, and I would see things coming before they happened, and I try to diffuse it. And that it does it's a superpower, and it's also a curse, because anybody who's empathetic will relate to this. You often see problems in people before they know it, before the person knows. Very often I can tell someone's angry before they realize they're angry, or they're off before they realize they're off. And then you start asking them questions oh yeah, you're right, I am off. Yeah.
How often do I look back on a memory and it's not actually the memory that I'm seeing? When people tell me stories about themselves, Emily just told me a story and I wasn't there, but I can see the room. I can see the room that she was in. So I'm saying, how often do I look back on my own memories when I have these memories? Everyone has milestone memories. It could be a stupid thing. Like I remember I was told that I was 5 and I tried to drink the vacuum cleaner fluid. And then it went over my shirt. My mom freaked out. She called poison control. But I can see the kid in the closet next to the vacuum. So when I'm thinking back of memories that maybe not from when I was 5, but maybe from when I was a little bit older, and I'm thinking of the time that I went to Universal Studios and I went on the roller coaster and I got sick and now I never want to go on a roller coaster again. But I can see myself sitting on that bench with a white t-shirt and a hat. But maybe how often am I looking back on that and it's not even an actual memory? It's just some kind of the creation of my brain,
So I'll make a bold statement and say that